Hariom Savitriji. Hariom. Hariom Rakhi ji. Hariom Sunita ji.
Hari Om Ji.
Hariom ji.
Hari Om.
Hariom.
Hari Om.
Hariom ji. Hariom. We'll just wait for one more minute and then we can begin our session. Alright, I think we can begin. Anybody's screen, if it is on loud, you can just mute it. When you want to ask a query, you can unmute. Hariom. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhe Bhavatu Me Sada Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Krupatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hariom. Hariom. So, yes, please. Can anybody establish the link? Where is it that we stopped? We will continue in our 6th Adhyay. We had stopped at shloka number 33. Yes, please. Anything we can recollect.
We were saying whether Arjuna understood what Krishna was saying.
Yes, yes, yes. So Arjuna, we were looking at that, and something what Krishna shared. Anything we can recollect? Yes, please. So we were wondering if Arjuna has understood anything. But what was it that Krishna was talking about? Yes, please. Anything.
Basically, it was like a yogi. First of all, we practice that practice of
Nasikagra
controlling our thoughts,
dhyana.
and
Okay.
also to sum up is that a yogi is not going to differentiate between his or others. There'll be like oneness. So
Okay.
the yogi believes in oneness. So there is no discrimination
Ji, ji.
in that. So it's basically equality of all the living beings and responding to the joys and sorrows in the same way and as his own.
Yes, ji. Yes, ji. So that samatha bhava is there, whether it is objects or whether it is people, or with that same equality, that person is able to look at himself or herself. The same scale is used for everybody, that it is not partial towards himself or his dear ones, or even having some attachment towards objects. That is the yogi. And Krishna talked about how a person can achieve that Brahma Nirvana. He can go into the state of dhyana, deep into the state of dhyana. And Krishna has given two techniques of meditation. One is a more relaxed one, which we can meditate quite easily. We can control our breath, and the second one requires a little bit more focus, but it helps in getting a thoughtless state. Both have been described. Importance of dhyana, importance of a specific area for dhyana, regularly using that same area for dhyana is described, and asana is also described. The position must be comfortable, there is no need to be strained. Sometimes even while people do pranayam, they are supposedly doing pranayam for mental peace also. But if you look at their facial muscles, they're all, wrinkled eyebrows, wrinkled forehead. Everywhere you can see that a lot of strain is being done. So dhyana is not to be done that way. And many times people try to go into meditation by force. That is not the way one must go. It must happen naturally. It is said in the Arvindo ashram also, when people go deeper into meditation, they are told not to pull. Don't pull more than you can receive. It is like a vessel has its own capacity. A balloon can only store so much air. You put more air than that the capacity of the balloon. What's going to happen? It will explode. So something like that. One need not, go into a meditation with a kind of force. Instead, let it happen naturally, and in that quietude, the highest states can be reached. Krishna says Brahma Nirman can be got by anyone, each and everybody, and probably is indicating to Arjuna that he should go into that sthiti and then enter into the world. So Krishna wants Arjuna to be a yogi, an awakened yogi of action who is going to do works in every kshetra which he is going to work. So that is something which is interesting. So what we were seeing was pretty good because Krishna is saying that when that person is so free, then there can be no bad news that can shake a person. Many times people have anxieties. What will happen to this person, my dear one? Will that person be all right, or will this person bring a bad news? What's going to happen? Now these are all unnecessary anxieties we carry. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future that way. So how can you be so sure that, or assume the worst also? We don't know. Let us go into that state of quietude and embrace life. Everybody is living life. Everybody is going through different experiences. We will also go through life experiences like everyone only. We need not panic or get into that state. So Krishna says that person is going to get the highest shanti, highest ananda, the highest atyantika sukha that can be experienced by being in a quiet state where the mind is not chanchal or mind is not fluctuating and always jumping around. It is like that when your mind is already diverted in so many places. Which work can you do? Even the simplest work which you are doing falls apart if you are not focused, if your mind is scattered. Krishna is telling, no, gather yourself. Gather yourself is what he says. So now we saw that this person who is in this consciousness, Krishna, there's a beautiful part. Tasyaham na pranashyami Sachamena pranashyati, where he's saying that person will not get lost. That person who is in this consciousness, who is having the smarana, he will never get lost. He will not get lost and he will not get destroyed in his own ahankar. And such a person is never lost to Krishna also. Krishna says, I will be with that person. That person will not be away from me. I am near him and he is near me, is what Krishna is saying. So all this Krishna is talking about that person who is believing in this, he is conscious in his every action, he is going to be joyous, and in that equanimity he can become the highest yogi. And he is saying that person free of sorrow, he can become the highest yogi. So this is what we saw of Krishna so far in the Adhyay. Then what was it that Arjuna talked to him? Because sometimes like there's a feedback which is received from in the class also. Students I remember in school, we would have a theorem would be taught, and then sir, did you understand? That time our sir mathematics, our principal would teach maths for us. A very strict person, and the way he would ask, even if you didn't understand, we would not dare to say we didn't understand. So Krishna has not asked anything, but Arjuna himself quips in between. What is it that he says, and what do you think? How much has he understood? Yes, please. Yes, please. So we will now go because the second quip is coming back. Arjuna is not stopping with one shloka. He is going to say two shlokas. The 33rd one, we I think saw that. It's like, yes, please. Anybody?
Arjuna is in his mind is very restless.
Yes.
So he is not able to like absorb that I am in a restless state of mind right in the middle of the battlefield, and Krishna is asking me to be a yogi and in that state where everything is like I have to treat. So it seems a little difficult, or I would rather say impractical to Arjuna.
It seems impractical, and it's like you say, Krishna is talking about highest state of Shanti, Parama Shanti, highest bliss and highest happiness, and he's talking about controlling mind with dhyana and everything. Now, two techniques also, simplified techniques. Krishna has actually made it very simple. Dhyana is also sometimes very complicated. Many people have so many theories along with it, and then you have to go in a particular way. Krishna is just direct entry, free pass. He's taking us into that kingdom. But Arjuna says, what dhyana you are talking about? I am not able to control my mind's restlessness. What higher shanti? It is like the same I was talking about that particular our principle. There was one boy who was not afraid of getting punishment. And so he would go and he would say, "Sir, I did not understand." And then he would say, "What did you not understand?" So I will explain the last two steps. And this person was mischievous. He never wanted to understand also. He would say, "No, sir, I didn't understand in first step." So for that person, our principal would go on teaching again from step one, again, a full repetition. But here we see Arjuna, somewhere we see a little bit. He says, "I am not able to understand anything." He says, "What yogam you are talking about? Yoyam yogas tvaya proktah. Samyena madhusudana. What is this balance? What is this yoga you are talking about? Etasyaham na pashyami. I don't see this." He's like, "No, no, I don't understand. I don't believe in your concept only," is what he's saying.
Is
Chanchala.
it like,
Yeah.
actually, is it like when a child is crying, you may tell the child to calm down, and so take a deep breath or calm down, and the child is not in that state to
Like what? Yeah,
understand
what are you telling me to calm down, mother?
what
Is
are you
what the
telling me
child.
to.
Look, that person
Yeah.
ate me. He is like this. What you are talking about calming down? I don't want. You go hit that person. Don't ask me to calm down. Something like that is probably we can say. And Arjuna is not stopping here. The next shloka, he goes back at Krishna and they say in Hindi, Guru ki vidya Guru ko. Krishna used the example of wind. Arjuna is saying, take it back, I give it back to you. What wind you are talking about, Yogi? Two examples. Anybody can recollect the two examples that we saw of wind, which have come so far, related to the wind. Krishna has talked about mind and wind and two examples that we saw. Ji, yes, Dr. Poonam ji.
The one he said when the that दीपक की
Yeah.
लौ
Yes,
स्थिर
yes,
रहती है
yes, yes,
जबकि जहाँ पर हवा नहीं रहे
yes.
in a windless
Yes,
state
yeah,
it will
windless
not
place.
move.
Yes, a lamp in a windless place. That was one. The second one, if anybody is able to recollect, one more was there.
In a storm, the ship will be taken away.
Yeah, yeah, without a
Yes,
rudder.
yes.
Yes, yes. Like,
Senses will be taken away.
yes. So Krishna gave beautiful examples. Now Arjuna is using Tarka and he wants to counter Krishna with his own example. Look at this shloka. He says, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna प्रमाथि बलवदृढ़ं तस्याहं निग्रहं मन्ये वायोरिव सुदुष्करम्. He says, despite your words, my mind seems so restless. Its nature seems so stubborn and relentless. He says, no, 6 adhyayas are almost up. No, he says, all your words are not of any use. My mind is still chanchal only. Forget the highest Brahma Nirvana. Right now it is fluctuating with anxiety only. It is still equally restless. Your words have no effect. It's like patient telling doctor, what medicine you are giving me? It is not doing anything like that. And then he goes on, "Oh Krishna, to tame it, I can't find a way. It seems as hard as controlling a wind blowing away." He's like, "Yeah, see, this my mind is the wind. Now tell me, my mind is only the wind. How can I control it? Who can control the wind? Can you stop the wind?" So this is the Tarka Arjuna is using. So sometimes, if you see logically, yeah, he can use whatever logic. But then what is the spirit behind the logic that has to be seen? Here Arjuna's what we can see is probably somewhere he is countering Krishna with an interest to know because he knows Krishna is master of logic. He will give the same logic and let's see if Krishna simplifies it further. He has some faith because of which he is with Krishna now. So that will not, otherwise, these kinds of logic, Sri Aurobindo also calls intellectual gymnastics. People go in circles, you don't go close to the truth, you'll keep hovering around the truth and then go away from the truth as well. So here, Krishna is countered. But we will see why Krishna is Krishna, why we consider him such a honest, such a patient guru or such a brilliant God, how he is friendly with all. He accepts it and he works. Krishna does not get angry. Look at this. He says, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येण च गृह्यते. Lord Krishna spoke, O mighty armed one, taming the mind is difficult indeed, for its restless nature tries to always mislead. With regular practice, the mind can be trained, and with detachment, a control over it can be attained. So Krishna says, now you see the compassionate side, it's like he says, I understand. He says, I understand your point of view. It is difficult, yes, He says it is difficult to control the mind. Mind is restless. I understand it. But abhyasena, he says, practice makes perfect. So with practice, you will learn to control your mind. You will learn to tame your mind. And with detachment, a control over it can be attained. And with detachment, you will be able to control. Just pull yourself out of that flux of emotions. You will be able to control your mind. He's being optimistic. Now, this is actually how probably even Goddess Saraswati, when she functions, it is she is also considered most compassionate because she is of the different powers of the goddesses. Saraswati Mother is considered closest to the mortal realm. How does she have to work with? She has to deal with imperfection of human nature. She has to slowly remove that imperfection and then manifest the divine work. Like that, we see a Krishna's Roop and Avatar, where Krishna is now. He says, I understand your logic, but Arjuna, you cannot stay there. You'll have to rise up slowly, he says, by practice. Try detachment. You will come out of it, is what he says. Your mind, I understand this is the prakriti of mind. This is not your fault, Arjuna. Mind is like this. I understand it. But you will have to, with practice, you can come out, he says. असंयतात्मना योगो दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः वश्यात्मना तु यतता शक्यो वाप्तुम उपायतः. When a control over self one can maintain. Okay, yeah, when a control over self one cannot maintain, they fail in yoga and a union they cannot attain. Through disciplined efforts, a mastery over self they can retain. With regulated practice, a control they can surely ascertain. Krishna is saying what? First he's talked about abhyas, then he's talked about vairagya. Then he talks like a teacher. When student is like, I don't want to study this, then you will fail in exam. Your exam will come, you're not going, this is an important subject which you have to learn. If you don't study, you're still adamant about not studying it, then he says, I cannot do anything. Then you will not move ahead, is what he says. When a control over self one cannot maintain, they fail in yoga. On the path of yoga, they cannot succeed. Through disciplined efforts, a mastery over self, they can retain, and with regulated practice only, you can get that control, is what Krishna is saying. With practice. So, what is this statement of Krishna? Is it agreeable or it is not agreeable? That if you don't practice, you will not succeed and you will fail. Is this some kind of, again, curse of Krishna, or it's just a basic logical, factual aspect? Yes, please. Ji, Savitri ji.
Yes, it's practical because when we say yoga, yoga is the connection of body, mind, and spirit. If your mind is chanchal, it is not possible to control. Then you have to control yourself.
We
I
have to
think so.
learn to control ourselves slowly with practice, with abhyas.
With the help of with the
Krishna, and yes, yes. Savitri ji, but abhyas means practice, is it not? So when we practice, we are not best in the first attempt, is it not? We make mistakes.
it will take it. It is time taking process.
Yes, so Krishna
But
is not expecting us to climb the Mount Everest on day one. No?
yes,
Yes, we see that freedom. Now, yes, I think what I think Savitri ji says, yes, it's perfectly logical and practical aspect that Krishna has shared. He's not trying to put some dogma onto Arjuna that you will not succeed. Anybody, can we move ahead, or we just anybody wishes to share something about this?
See, ultimately, it boils down to your determination.
Okay, ji.
Practice, you can practice unless you are determined.
Ji, ji.
And yesterday, what we were saying that for determination, you need courage.
Ji. Yeah, so
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
Ji, ji,
So
ji.
ultimately, it is all linked to your
Ha, ha.
courage.
Yes, yes.
Practice comes afterwards.
So wonderful, Srinivas ji. Yes, there's a Marathi Geet also. Dhyasa eka sadhaka antarata thevatu zana yatna devatu zana yatna devatu. Means keep that determination firm inside of you, O sadhaka, and understand your God is your efforts only. Recognize your efforts to be a God. That's the way. And perfectly. Why do we do yoga? Why should we go on the path of yoga also? It is to get the happiness, to get free from suffering. We want to live a happy, joyous life. Sri Aurobindo calls it the life divine, which is possible for all of us to live without having to. Means imagine our relations minus all the wrong aspects in the relations. How beautiful will it be? It's like roses without the thorns. So wonderful it would be for it will not hurt anybody. And that is what yoga sadhana is meant to do and what we are supposed to. Deepti wants to share something. Okay.
Yeah, so what I believe is also, I mean, it gives us more clarity of our existence and our
Yes.
life. And of course, when it comes to relationships, or so we learn to actually balance them well. And
Sometimes that
so that's
only
what I
matter.
think.
We do not get to look at that. We look at everything else, thinking it will balance on its own. And then later on, but actually sometimes it doesn't need balancing also. If you only have to pull yourself out of your action reaction karmic bandhana, then things are
Mhm.
automatically, all dharmas are automatically upheld when you are doing what is right. Is it not, Deepti? But
Yes,
then for
true.
that, mind has to be. Yes, please. Deepti wants to add. Yeah.
Otherwise, we are all living a very superficial life. I mean, it's always everything is on the surface.
Ha ha.
So it gives us like the clarity to go deep beneath and see what is the next layer, and
Ji,
which
ji.
is actually the truth.
Yes, ji. Yes, ji. All right, ji. Hari Om. But now Arjuna is not of this opinion. He is like a student in a college. He says, I will not study, I will not get good marks, but I have to get placed. Your college is a good reputed college, so I need to get a placement from this college, even if I do not get marks. Something like that we see Arjuna, because Krishna has said, You will fail. And he's like, What? I'll fail? No, no, I'm not supposed to fail. How can I fail when you are there? These kind of questions are going to come out from Arjuna's mouth now because Arjuna says, Arjuna uvacha ayatihi shraddhayopeto yoga chalita manasah aprapya yoga sansiddhim kam gatim Krishna gachati. Arjuna said, Oh Krishna, what happens to the one who goes astray? After embarking on the path of yoga, I wish to earnestly know when, despite his faith, a seeker's mind wanders away. If he fails to attain perfection, in the end, where does he go? He says, What happens to that person who is going to go astray? Krishna is directly asked by Arjuna. Tell me, he says, what happens? That person has taken, he's come on this path because of Shraddha. Some faith was there inside of him. He came in because of that. But afterwards, he didn't have that determination to be sustained. He suddenly lost it. So, what is going to happen to him? He says, if he does not, you are talking about perfection. What if he never climbs the top of the Mount Everest? He doesn't reach there. What's going to happen? He says. What's going to happen to such a person? We'll look at the next question and then we will just see if Arjuna's question is logical. कच्चिन्नो भयविभ्रष्टस् छिन्नभ्रम इव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो विमूढ़ो ब्रह्मणः पथि. Oh mighty, oh warrior mighty, does he not lose out on both lives here? When the human desires, he fails to completely give up, and the union with Brahma, he fails to keep up and perish like a cloud that will only disappear. He says, so is he not losing out on both? One side he's given up material attractions. They are having side effects, all right, but it's okay. It's like I'm taking that person who is on that path is at least getting some happiness and then getting sorrow, which is greater, but he's getting something there. He's not getting ananda, but he's getting small happiness is all right. But now on the path of yoga, this person has renounced all of this. And now he's going here, he says, and now his human desires are again coming back after starting on the journey. What will happen if he doesn't get that union with Brahma? Will he not become like a cloud and a cloud that is just going to disappear? Is that his existence? Is Arjuna's question correct? And is it a skeptical question also, what he is asking?
Yes, it is correct.
It is correct. And is it skeptical, what he is asking? It's like what?
Yeah, because when you read the first sloka, I was like thinking in my head is because I don't know. So because I'll just tell you one thing. I do yoga and meditation, but
Hmm.
I got a break in between, like
Okay.
for health reason. I took a break.
Ha ha.
So, but in my head, I was in that state that what do you call a hanging state. I want to
Okay.
be there, but I'm not there.
Ha ha ha.
And what do I do now? Will I
Okay.
will I lose that what I have
What
been
I've
trying to
gained?
like
What is gained? And is
what I've
that?
gained and what peace I've got in mind, and will I'm
Yeah.
going to again go back to the state which I did not want to. So I was in that state and I could totally relate to what
Okay,
Arjuna is saying.
okay, ji. Okay, Dipti ji. And now, if you see, he's used the word yoga brashta. Now, Krishna did not use this word yoga brashta. Arjuna has first used this word yoga brashta. This is something. What happens when that person gets the yoga only becomes brashta? Is he going to go back to zero, or is he going to go into minus? Or is he, people say no, no, no. If you don't walk, some of them actually have said don't go on this path. If you go on this path and don't succeed, then you will get worse consequences. These are all what we can say, some kind of misconceptions people put on us. I remember when I joined my guru, one aunt who knew me, watched me grow up from childhood. She was as if I have expired in front of her eyes only. She went to my mother and she's taken to spirituality with her hand on the mouth, as if what has happened, as if I am now no more in existence. Something worst has happened. Even till today, I don't know what is the meaning of taken to spirituality. If are you taking something, or life is like that only? Life doesn't change. One's life is the same. But these are certain misconceptions, and Arjuna is having a very strong one, and he's very clear about it. He's saying, Krishna, tell me now what's going to happen. I walk on the path, but I somewhere lose interest, or I somewhere lose for some reason the need to go in the front, and I decide enough, or I walk out of it. What will happen? Will I become a Trishanku? I will stand neither here or nor there. What's going to happen is Arjuna's question. And okay, this is a perfectly skeptical question. One may wonder, then how can we say Arjuna has Shraddha in Krishna? We have Shraddha in Krishna. Krishna says anything, we will happily listen. Whether he does not come in front of us, he whispers even through a book, or somebody comes and whispers something in our ear, tells us somewhere in the middle of work. We get so happy and blissful as if Krishna's representative only has come. But now Krishna is in front and Arjuna is asking so many questions. How is Arjuna having Shraddha? Where is the proof now of Arjuna's Shraddha? Well, that comes in the very next shloka. Why Arjuna is considered dear to Krishna, and why Arjuna also loves Krishna so much. Yeah, Deepti ji wants to share something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I to answer the question, but I feel, I mean, I don't know about the next sloka,
Yeah,
but yes, he has Shraddha, because if he does not have Shraddha, he will not question,
he'll
because
not question.
he
Yes, yes.
himself is like very, I mean, he's like a yogi only. Of course,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
lost it at this moment, but he has Shraddha. Otherwise, if it would have been, I mean, people like us, we
Hmm.
would be like, okay, it's like,
Whether it is
I
proper
mean,
to ask.
yeah, yeah, we will just say yes or no.
But on the
We will not
inside, we will not.
question.
Yeah, he's speaking exactly what
Yeah.
is inside. All right. So fine. So let us see, and we know Arjuna has Shraddha, and now he cannot hide it also, because next shloka it comes out very clearly. He says, "Etan me sanshayam Krishna chetum arhasya sheshatah twadanyah sanshayasya cheta na yupapadyate." This great uncertainty, O Krishna, you must dispel, and the smallest of my queries you must expel. There's a dadagiri in his talk. He says, no, you must, this uncertainty, you have to dispel it. And all my smallest queries, you must remove all of these doubts, he says. For this seems to be the only way out, and you alone can destroy this grave doubt. So, this Shraddha is there. Krishna, if there is anybody who can remove these doubts from me, you are the one. And that is why I am putting everything in front of you. But you have to bear and remove every single doubt. This is the what we can say kind of love and Shraddha Arjuna has for Krishna. And this is true. Arjuna's story with Krishna goes beyond what we are seeing now in the Mahabharata. There are so many instances where his love for Krishna has helped him do so many things, and he's also landed in funny situations which he never imagined also. And he would very quietly follow Krishna, whatever Krishna says. Once Krishna told, let's go to Swamvar. He's like, okay, let's go. He goes with him. Then he says, we have to take the bride. He's like, what? No, this is Krishna. Then he explains logically. First, Krishna argues that time also. What is this? We cannot do this. We are Kshatriyas. You are a great person. You cannot do. Then he says, see, this is going against the will of the bride. And then Arjuna is now coaxed by Krishna to do that. And then he understands that the higher spirit, and then he agrees. So there are so many little stories in Gita which relate that beautiful relation with Arjuna and Krishna. This is also visible now, where he says, "No, you. This is the only way out. I will get free when these doubts disappear, and I have full confidence, Krishna, that you will dispel these doubts. If there is anybody, it will be you." That is what Arjuna is saying. Let us go on. Now Krishna speaks. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Partha Naiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyanakrit Kashchid Durgatim Tata Gachati. Shri Krishna spoke, O Arjuna, know this, there is no destruction, neither in this life nor the next, for there is no regression for him who selflessly works for the greater good. No ultimate harm can befall him. May this be understood. So he says this, there is no regression. This is a path of evolution. Even Janama, which we are having, Punarapi Janama, Punarapi Marana, it's not just a cycle, it's an evolutionary cycle. There is movement going to take place. So he says, no ultimate harm will befall. Maybe he may stumble, he may fall, but when he rises again, that rise will compensate the fall also. And he says, this journey is only forward journey. There is no destruction, neither in this nor the next life, is what he is saying. Now, this was very useful for me also because growing up, my grandmother had told me if you yawn while you're eating breakfast, you will become a pig the next birth. Now, I ended up yawning so many times, I thought now 100% guarantee is there that next Janma Yoni is going to be that of a pig only. But after looking at this, Krishna has made it clear there is no regression. So this Manushya Yoni will go ahead. Of course, Puranic stories may talk whatever they want to say. But a lot of yogis, Sri Aurobindo also has talked about it. The journey is always a forward journey. So there is no what we can say complete regression. So what happens next? That let us see. What happens to that person who falters? He's gone on the path of yoga. This yogi has gone ahead, but then has fallen. What happens to that person? Krishna says, प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां लोकान् मनुष्यत्व शाश्वतीः समाः शुचिनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टोऽभिजायते. Krishna says, the one who on the path of yoga falters attains the realm of the pious sentient beings, and after dwelling there for many years, is once more born in the household of pure beings. So there are different realms, there are different lokas. They say there's a Chandra loka, there's a Pitar loka, there are different lokas. Here, Krishna says that person, by yoga, he has gone ahead. He has overcome his detachments. He has overcome his attachments and he has gone ahead from these bonds. So he will go to that next state. But there he will stay because he has not completed his journey. He is going to stay there and he is going to come back, is what he says. He will be born in a household of pure beings, meaning his karma, what he has done. It's like he's now, if he stops on this path of yoga, he's not just going to keep adding to his account. If you have a bank account, the day you stop adding money into your bank account, what's going to happen? Does that mean the money will start deteriorating? No. The money is going to be there. Probably interest may only accrue further because over time, that's a different aspect. Only when you withdraw, it is something like that. But here we just, our punya will remain with what we have earned, but it will not go further ahead. If you stop on the path, you have stopped adding to your account, so you are remaining there only. So if you have done a lot of good, Krishna says you can go to the punya lok also, and from the punya lok living there, he's going to come back and then continue his journey. He'll be born in a good household where he can actually, go on in the journey. Even birth, it is said, is a very great fortune to be in a home where you can sometimes even seek the spirit. Many times children from their entire childhood, everybody in the house have to worry about only one thing. How is food going to come on the table? Where are they going to get the chance? But even in their homes also we have seen yogis being born. So this is there. So ultimately the Jivatman can progress anywhere. Roses can grow in the nurseries also. They can grow outside also. Sometimes the roses that grow outside are stronger than the ones that are in the nursery because they have faced the extremes of weathers also. But the wastage is not there. Yoga Brashta, we need not worry. You will only not keep adding after that. Whatever is there, you will go and then you are going to return back to the earth to complete the journey, is what Krishna says. अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरम लोके जन्म यदीदृशम. Or he may be born in a yogi's house. That is the greatest icing on the cake. The person may be born in a home of a yogi only. This again shows grihasthas also can be yogis, not just sannyasis. This is definitely another example. That person may be born in the house of a yogi, and to the family of the pious and the wise. For it is a privilege so very rare to be born in a household with a spiritual air. Because it's a very rare privilege, is what Krishna is saying, when your atmosphere in the home is itself conducive for this Adhyatma Marga. The person may be, because of the punya that he may have done, he may get that opportunity as well. Krishna goes on, Tatratam buddhi sanyogam labate paurvadehikam yatate cha tato bhuyah sansiddhau kurunandana. And there he slowly assumes his previous birth status and resumes his yoga after an outer worldly hiatus. So what's going to happen? He's going to resume from where he stopped. The yoga marg will again restart for that person in that home. After a small break, it's like as if gone on vacation, gone on some outer worldly journey, and is back again to resume the work. And his works gradually evolve towards perfection. Oh Arjuna, in yoga there is only ascension. Krishna says there is only ascension on this yoga marg. Sometimes I think we must have all watched reality TVs and where children start singing so beautifully. We wonder how did this child learn so well. It is like now child has not reached puberty also, and he's talking singing songs of lover with so much bhav. How is it? Where has he experienced heartbreak? But in the song, the heartbreak is there. Or we can see in the song the way the child sings. It is like, where has he done? Sometimes the teachers have not done that much riyaz, and they see this much song requires so many hours of practice. And I am not able to sing after so many 30 years, 40 years of practice. How is it that this child who is just 10 years is able to sing this? Is it not? Have we seen that? Yes. What could be the explanation for that? Could it be a Gandharva is born? Yes, Srinivasti.
Brought forward qualities.
Yes, Ji?
It's a carry forward.
Carry
qualities.
forward. Yes, carry forward. Yes.
Yeah, to birth.
Yes. It is said, is it not? They say, no, this is a Gandharva only has been reborn again. Especially in the music field, they use these words often. This even when now Lata Mangeshkar, when she left the body, look at her. She was Saraswati only. She was considered like that. And when she parted, they said, don't say she died. She did not die. Ma Saraswati left this roop which she had taken, and she's gone ahead, because they understood that this is a journey of someone. No one knows what that person may have done in the previous birth. We don't know, but this yoga gets carried forward, and then sometimes great at young ages also people get sudden questions and they go quickly on a different direction, which we don't understand why this person has got this thought, or why did this person go in this particular direction. Why was Gautam Buddha destined to go in that park? He had everything. His parents actually created an atmosphere which will make it impossible for him to go there. But no, that soul had decided, I will be born here. Even Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo's father wanted to stamp everything Indian out of him. He saw to that he gets an education in the UK. There he was introduced to Christian faith. He was introduced to so many other things. What he did? No, he had to come directly into the freedom struggle, and when he came, he was greeted like a Maharaja only. Many people exclaimed, who is this figure? Even in the court case, what was this such great popularity? How did it happen? And what happened to him in the Baroda jail? He got a sakshatkar of even all the Vedas also. It's like they entered into him. After that, he was already considered a very, what we can say, firebrand revolutionary, spiritual revolutionary. This is a different term that they use. Young Subhash Chandra Bose would get inspired looking at his words. Lokmanya Tilak had great dialogue. Surat split was actually called by our Sri Aurobindo Ghosh only, without Lokmanya Tilak's knowledge as well. They were present there. It was first called by Sri Aurobindo, and then it was later on ratified up by everybody else. And even Lokmanya Tilak was taken by surprise. But this was the status, and then suddenly he got all those realizations. What was his father thinking? His father was a nice person, of course. He was a very philanthropic person, everything. But no, spirituality, no, I don't want my child to go there. And not just Sri Aurobindo, his brothers also, he sent them there. Barindo came and started making bombs for freedom struggle. That was his absolutely a different direction. So each soul is born, each child is there. That is why actually our founder Damleji also says nothing can be taught. Each child, when we teach even for Krishna's better kids classes, all the teachers are first trained that you cannot teach anything, because each child already has to just find the way. You are introducing certain concepts. The child will learn on his own. You introduce it right. The journey is there of that individual Atman only. Do not look at it as you are teacher, I am teaching this, this must be this is the way you should go ahead. And exactly that Krishna says this journey gets carried forward. Blessed is that person who's already got an atmosphere which is conducive. May that person can go faster. But if the atmosphere is not conducive, one need not wail about that as well, because it's okay. Look at Sant Jnaneshwar. At 21, his life's journey was complete. He got into samadhi. But before that, what did he achieve? And in such a short span, and what hardship growing up parentless, growing up ostracized by the village, considered children of sannyasi, ridiculed without even getting food. They were even bhiksha was not given to them. These children and parents were told, you go dehanta prayashchit. You do that, then you will get. We will take care of your children because you have done the worst sin. So they say, all right, for our children's sake, we will. We don't agree to this, but for our children, we will end our life. Is how they said that, and they went into the river and ended their lives. But even after that, they said you are still not recognized. There is no scriptural evidence to recognize you, so we will not recognize you. Anybody who helps these people also will be discarded by the society. What would happen now in such a? What will look at the fate? How bad it is. But from that we got the great Ishwar of Jnana. There is Sopan, or his elder brother, Nivrutti is there. Then there's Sopan, there's Muktabai, all of them. Each four children, all four became brilliant revolutionary ones. Now their names are called out before even Deva's names. When the Varkaris also go on, they say Jnanoba Mauli Tukaram. They say these names before calling upon the divine's name. And the young boy is called Mother or Mauli. How can it be? Why 90-year-old person will call a 18-year-old or 17-year-old? How can they call mother? No, that is that state which has been reached of that Atman, which is recognized. He is not just an ordinary child. Everybody got the experience and sakshatkar. So this aspect is there. Krishna says there is no failure. Your journey may have paused, but it's going to resume from where it has stopped. You don't have to have that worry. Arjuna, take that out of it. Yoga Bhrashta need not worry about it at all. There is no regression on this path. There's only forward movement. Krishna goes on. Purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyate yavashopi saha jignasurapi yogasya shabda brahma ati vartate. By the virtue of previous birth, his yoga is carried forward, and the soul is towards the science of union allured. And beyond the ritualistic practices, the seeker then ascends, and the principles of Vedas and Upanishads he verily transcends. So this is brilliant. Shabda Brahmati Vartate. So that seeker then transcends the Shabda Brahma also. The Vedas, the Upanishads, everything is transcended. Because he is now carrying forward by his previous birth, his soul is only attracted to it. Whatever happens, Swami Vivekananda will become that only. No matter how mischievous he was, his path had to go to that direction only. It was like some kind of attraction on the inside, which was not explainable on the outside. And beyond the practices, beyond even the rituals, everything, this person transcends everything. And he reaches that state, is what Krishna says. He goes on, Prayatnyat yatamanastu yogi sanshuddhi kilbishaha aneka janma sansiddhihi tato yati param gatim. Krishna says, but by concerted efforts and a sincerity in action, the seeker of union gravitates slowly towards perfection. Over a period of many births, he becomes sinless and purified, and with the knowledge highest, his endeavors are justified. So it's like a purification taking place birth after birth. It is going on, the person moves on, is what Krishna is saying. He graduates towards the siddhis, slowly he becomes perfect. Over so many births, this person becomes purified, he becomes better, and then finally he gets that highest realization. The sakshatkar is that individual's. Krishna goes on next. तपस्विभ्यो अधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्यो मतोधिकः कर्मेभ्यश्चाधिको yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. That is why Arjuna, become a yogi, he says. Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. Become a yogi. So this yogi, what is he going to do? Which dhyana mudra he is going to have, or which kind of asana he is going to do, or which pravachan he is going to give? No, he is not that type of yogi. This yogi is going to take the Gandiv bow in his hand and he is going to pierce the hearts of his opponents. But it is not going to be a passionate, angry, frustrated, depressed individual. It's going to be a yogi who is going to be wielding that weapon. Krishna is asking Arjuna, what does he say? He says, In comparison to the firm ascetic, he is greater. Greater than the greatest tapasvis also. Biggest tapasyas the people may have done. No. Sometimes in the tapasya also some things may not have been reached, which can be reached here where you are, is what Krishna is indicating. In comparison to the firm ascetic, he is greater. Amongst men of knowledge and works too, he is better. Greater than the karmebhyo and jnanibhyo also. Means the knowledge, one men of knowledge as well. Greater than those men and greater the men of works also who have done great karmas. Sometimes people have unparalleled intelligence and we wonder. It was like I remember in school we had one very intelligent friend of mine. I was sure this person is going to do something crazy, very he would become on the biggest post or he'll make a world level scam because his intelligence was so great and we would always wonder how he went to NIT he got 10 on 10. Nobody has got 10 on 10 in that college. So wherever he went, so this is the greatest knowledge. So Krishna says even the most intelligent ones or sometimes people's deeds are so large we get overwhelmed. We see, no, this person has done so much great karma, he's too ahead of us, or there's nothing I can do about this. This person is reached. Krishna says we can transcend the greatest, no, most knowledgeable person also, greatest karma yogi also, greatest tapasvi also. Who can transcend? That person who practices yoga integrally is most superior to me. And so a yogi is what, oh Arjuna, I ask you to be. So all integration of all these dimensions, jnana, karma, bhakti, all have been integrated by that individual. So whatever work that person is doing, he is doing in that heightened state of consciousness that person is going to become beyond the Shabda Brahmati Vartate. This is their Shabda. These people we have seen in, go to any village in India, any regional village will have a saint. One saint born in that village or somebody born at some time who has transcended the Shastras without reading a single Shastra also. How is it possible? Importance of Shastra is there, but how is this transcendence possible? Because that person doesn't claim this Shastra speaks about it. He speaks the truth. And then the followers go and see, no, this is exactly what is present in this Shastra. How did he know? How did he know? Well, he transcended. He's gone to that same source from where all the Shastras came also. He connected to that. So that is possible. And Krishna is saying, when in all dimensions, you're not compartmentalizing yourself. This is my part of yoga. This is my part of material life. This is this part of life. Instead of that, all is one and one is all. That person can, he can transcend everyone is what Krishna says. He goes on. Yoginam api sarvesham. Then the question is, how do we become that? What is this? What is the way for getting beyond all of these, or how to practice? That also Krishna makes it very simple in the next verse. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam samay yukta tamomata. Krishna says, he whose inner self to me has been consecrated. For me, an infinite faith and love he has accommodated. Amongst all the yogis who hold the divine dear, he is in union with me, and to me he is most near. Krishna says that person who has accommodated the divine, is given the space for the divine in his heart or her heart. You see, divine needs to be accommodated. This is so crazy. He's given everything to us, yet our ahankar does not give space. So that person who said yes, he doesn't just say Atithi Devo Bhava, he invites the Atithi and he says, Atithi, permanently stay here, don't go away from here. That person who has that great Shraddha, who has been able to consecrate everything in life. It's like henceforth everything in my life is yours. Whatever it is, what your will, let your will be done. This kind of state. That person whose Shraddha is also infinite only. How Maruti was asked, where is Ram? Is Ram in your heart? He said, yes. And then there's an experience of he's just pulling his chest open and then the person in front is getting the darshan of Sita Maya and Sri Rama. How is that? Well, that is the apar bhakti inside. That much Shraddha is there inside of the individual. Krishna says all those yogis, ultimately all the yogis, they call the divine dear. So for them, divine is very close. That is why they seek the path. But Krishna says, among all those yogis, he says that person is very dear to me. I consider that person dear and he is close to me. He is my Arjuna, he is my Sudama. That's what Krishna is saying. Among all those yogis who have that love for me. With this, Krishna continues. We enter into the 7th adhyay. Let us just start. We will probably start some portion of this adhyay where we can probably see some 7 to 8 shlokas maybe. Let us see. It is a continuation. Sri Krishna continues. Now Arjuna is not quipping or is not disturbing Krishna, because probably Krishna is speaking something which is very close to Arjuna's heart, and his doubt of yoga brashta has completely been evaporated. Now Arjuna can be free. He's like, yeah, fine, no matter what, I have on this path, then there's not going to be any problem. The mother also speaks about it, that nothing is certain but the certitude of victory on the spiritual path. Ultimately, there is victory only on that path. Why they say Satyameva Jayate? Because ultimately the highest truth will prevail. When you are on that path, you are going to be peaceful, and that path is going to be the right one, is what Krishna says. Maybe situations outside may not be, maybe it is difficult, but inside the chitta is free, and that we have seen. I've seen even Shambhaji Maharaj's story is there. Even death was feeling ashamed, or that is what it is said. Death was feeling disgusted the way he was killed. He was said, but no, he said no. His tongue was removed, his nails were removed, his eyes were poked, but still the last he says no. Aurangzeb had said no. You better convert and tell your people that you surrender to me. And he spat. He said, I will not. He said, I will not, even after being. And he was such a great intellectual person. He was a very powerful, he was a combination of very powerful physical strength and highest intellect as well. Brilliant Sanskrit works were written by him. On Shivaji Maharaj, he wrote a beautiful book only about him in Sanskrit at that time. He was known to know so many languages. Such was the great. But you see, till the last minute, he was there. And then what happened? He did not end. Swarajya did not end with him. Their plan was to destroy Swarajya. But that fire lit in so many people, and then we have what the freedom was later on got for their state. So this aspect is there, that once the clear conscience is there, that time you don't have to worry. No matter even the worst situation, people have been able to summon the divine strength and be one. Now, fortunately, we are in a very nice time in India. We don't have to face the time of difficulties which people have in the yesteryears. So what more do we need? We are free. It is like when the bureaucrats are doing their job, the yogis are free to do their yoga sadhana. Why do they have to worry about it? What is that yoga sadhana for also? Again, for loka sangraha, for betterment of the world. Everyone works there. It is easy, and Krishna says this very clearly, that that person who has consecrated everything to me, he's offered everything. That person, he is dearest to me, is what Krishna says. Let us go on. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Sakta Manaha Partha Yogam Yujanma Dashrayah Asanshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jnasasi Tachrano. Oh Arjuna, I will have a question after this. Is this a shloka which Krishna is telling to Arjuna only, or is it for all of us as well? What Krishna is saying. He says, Shri Krishna said, O Arjuna, with the consciousness fully absorbed, when in me a firm foundation is resolved, your every doubt will be answered and cleared, and the undiluted knowledge from me you will hear. So Krishna says, when your Shraddha is firm, he says, your consciousness is fully absorbed into the divine consciousness. Your foundation is strong. He says, every doubt that you have in your mind, all those doubts will also be cleared, and you will receive directly from me the wisdom. What do you think? Is this a word just for Arjuna, or Krishna is giving a hint to all of us as well? Yes, please.
He's giving to all
Please
of
give it.
us.
To all of us, is it not? And many of us may have special moments also in life which are very personal, maybe, which we may not be able to share with everyone, of course. But though when that Shraddha is strong, then we'll get the answers. Simple questions get answered. We call them miracles in our life. To somebody else, it may not be a miracle. But this is the experience when person has got. Shraddha is strong, you are creating the consciousness inside of you for the manifestation of the higher truth. And when that manifests, then there is nothing more. Krishna says, yes, first get your consciousness firm, then your doubts will also be answered. Then he goes on, Jnanam teham savijnanamidam vakshyamya sheshatah yajnatva neha bhoyonyat jnatavyam avashishyate. That science of yoga I shall explain. That which by engaging in yoga, that science of union to you I shall explain. That which by engaging in yoga one can attain. That undiluted knowledge after which doubts won't persist. That knowledge beyond which Nothing does exist. So that higher knowledge, because doubts also come at a particular journey. Generally on sadhana, in the starting stages, there are so many doubts, 100 doubts, 1,000 doubts. After a while, doubts completely vanish. There is no question. I have seen now Damleji's, so many students are there. Some of the students, when they would come to meet him, and I have had a good chance to see some of them for some years now. So initially, there are so many questions. One person had asked, "Are you Datta? Are you God? What is the meaning?" This kind of question he said. If you are, how can it be possible? Or why is India only having so many gods? Why no so many other countries are not having? What is so special? What is specifically what is there in this country? And these are all doubts which were there. Now the same person's conversations are absolutely different. Sometimes he does not ask a thing also. He just says, "I want to come and sit next to you. I want to talk." That's all. Some no, there's no. I don't have a doubt. You please speak. Now, of course, life is going on for everybody. So many situations come and go. Difficulties come. He went through a difficult moment, physical accident, which was almost more, very dangerous. Where he just survived. All these things have happened. But now the nature has changed, that something has come to him. That much is visible for me from the outside, at least, that yes, these doubts have disappeared. Now Arjuna is having too many doubts. Problem is, now he needs to have lesser doubts, but the quality of doubts must improve, because he needs to start asking the right questions. But Krishna says, when that knowledge starts coming, your doubts will also start evaporating. They will get solved on their own. Sometimes some questions we don't have the answers immediately. If we have Shraddha, we'll understand that this will be answered in time. Let us keep it like a file in abeyance. When the time comes, it will be solved as well. We will work on it. So something like that, Krishna says, that knowledge which is the highest one, after which there's going to be nothing that will, no doubt will exist after that knowledge. Manushyanam sahastreshu कश्चिद्यदिति सिद्धये यततामपि सिद्धानां कश्चिन् मां वेत्ति तत्त्वतः. Among the thousands of men who seek perfection and many thousands who strive in this aspiration, the self's realization by hardly one is one, and my entire truth is known only to the rarest one. So Krishna says, among the thousands of people who are seeking perfection, among so many thousands who are seeking perfection, who are striving, so many thousands are striving, the realization of the self is only one by only one person, one in thousand. One in a thousand can get that. This entire truth is known only to the rarest one. What is the meaning of this? Is this some kind of entrance competitive exam now? Adhyatma also has become like that. Is that what Krishna is saying? What is the meaning of this? There are thousands who are seeking, and only one gets that. Yes, please. Is it because we have a very strong competitive exam judge who is sitting and saying, no, no, very high cutoff, you cannot make it through? Is that what Krishna is saying, or is there something else behind it? Yes, please.
It is because
Yes, Milanji. Yes, please.
people don't pursue the path till
Yes,
the end. That is
yes,
the reason.
yes, yes. The moha ke dhage. Some these one by one, different attachments pull a person away.